So, Labour may well have taken the North East for granted since the end of the First World War. And the Conservatives occasionally, in elections like 83 or 2019, win a handful of seats. But what I'm talking about here, over the course of the next 4 years, isn't winning a handful of seats. Indeed, the opinion poll today says we'd win 5 seats in the North East if the general election was held tomorrow. Now, I'm talking about something much bigger, something much more ambitious than that. Because I actually believe, and I think you know, that in their hearts, the vast majority of people living in the North East believe in the same values that we as a party believe in. We believe in family, community and country. And bear in mind that even on July the 4th last year, with only a few weeks running, of the 27 seats in the North East, Reform was second in 18 of them. So, if you vote Conservative in the North East, you will get Keir Starmer, and we don't want more Keir Starmer, do we? So there's a lot we can fight for. 5 years ago, yesterday, at 11 p.m, I was in Parliament Square with 100,000 friends. And I was able to do the countdown, 10, 9, 8, and boom, we'd left the European Union. It was an amazing victory. And of course, this region voted overwhelmingly leave because you believe in common sense and the country and self-government. But 5 years on, has it been delivered? Well, bits of it have. Constitutionally, we're out and we're not going back. We're not being governed by inefficient, useless, corrupt bureaucrats in Brussels. No! We're being governed by useless incompetence in Westminster. And in some ways, that was the point of Brexit, wasn't it? That we can actually get rid of the people that govern our country, but we have been so badly let down on some of the key promises. The turnouts in 2016 on that referendum day in some parts of the North East astounded the experts. They just couldn't believe how many people actually were going out to vote in the polls. Why? Because it was one of those very few times where the individual felt that their vote actually could make a difference. And one of the key reasons for going out and voting to leave was to take back control of our... You see, I don't need a scriptwriter to come here, do I? It's easy. To take back control of our borders, absolutely. And have we taken back control of our borders? Have we hell? It's since that vote, and in particular, since Boris Johnson got that whopping great majority in 2019, that the boats started crossing the English Channel. And now, over 130,000 young men without documentation, young men who've come very often from war zones, young men, many of whom come from countries that don't treat women even as second-class citizens. Young men who in many cases will, and in some cases already are, posing a threat to our way of life and indeed our national security. I believe what is happening in the English Channel should be declared a national security emergency. And of course they arrive, they're given new shoes, new clothes, brand new iPhones, pizzas. They're then taken off to 4-star hotels or private accommodation, and guess which part of the country they're being sent to in the biggest numbers? To the northeast of England. to the northeast of England, madam. You're absolutely right. 10 times the number of those that cross the Channel get sent to the northeast as opposed to staying in the south. And you are supposed to simply put up with it. To simply put up with it. Well, there's one way you can show the Labour government that you're not going to put up with it. And that will start in County Durham, and it will start in Northumberland on May the 1st this year, and I'll come back to that in detail. And then, of course, there's legal immigration into Britain. And by the way, we are probably the most open-minded country in the whole of Europe. We're very, very accepting of people from different countries coming to live here. After all, you think about the massive contribution the Commonwealth made to us in 2 world wars. And actually, and it should be recognised, But you think about this from Windrush, in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, net migration into Britain ran at 30,000 a year, right? What was it under a Conservative government who said they'd reduce the number? 1 million in 2023 alone. And you wonder why. You can't get a GP appointment. You wonder why the traffic is worse than it ever was. You wonder why for youngsters to get onto the housing ladder is virtually impossible. You wonder why the quality of life for everybody has been diminished by a population that's risen by 10 million over the course of the last 20 years. This is a complete and utter betrayal of the Brexit vote. And there's only one way we're going to get the Brexit we voted for, and that's to have a government that actually believes in it, and only a reform government will give us what we voted for. And I think of the madness of government policy, what they're trying to do to the small farmers. I can't imagine in the rural parts of County Durham, Northumberland, hundreds of small family farms handed down through generations. It's actually why the landscape looks as beautiful and as amazing as it does. You know, credit to them. But no, the Labour government are determined to smash them, and with that, frankly, they treat our rural communities with complete and utter disdain. Let me tell you, we will stand up and fight for our farmers and for our rural communities. And we'll also fight for the cost of living. What we have done with our energy policy, I know Richard talked about this earlier, what we have done with our net zero policy, frankly, is an act of self-harm, an act of economic vandalism. How can it be that we've lost in the last few years refining, chemicals, which were once very big, of course, in the northeast, steel making, which once was gigantic in the northeast. We're losing all these industries, and why? Because the biggest cost to industry is the cost of power. Our electricity bills for our industries are 6 times higher than the United States. Your domestic bills are 2.5 times higher of our nearby neighbours in France. And all of it to make rich Chinese manufacturers and foreign companies wealthy, to make most of you more impoverished, especially if you've lost the winter fuel allowance over the course of the last few months. You're all too young to qualify for that, I know, but I saw one hand go up. And we're literally deindustrialising Britain. Places like the northeast are being deindustrialised so that the goods can be made in India and China and then shipped back here. We need a party that says we're going to have cheap energy and bring back manufacturing jobs to the northeast and the rest of the country. And we need people in government at all levels, whether it's local government or national government, that actually believe in the country, believe in what we stand for. And one of the areas we've got to deal with is education. Now, it is perhaps important to mention that being here in Halton-le-Spring, of course, the local MP here is, of course, Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, and she's about to make a series of changes to the way schools in this country are run. I don't think they're positive changes, because I think it'll take away from some of the academies' choice that they had. But there's something even more important than that. The poison that has got into our education system. The teaching to our young people. They tell them to be ashamed of our past. Well, we're proud of our past, aren't we? We're proud of what those that did before us went. We need a complete change and overhaul of the education system to teach our children that whilst things that were done in the past may have been done to different standards and values that we hold today, that actually our country, uniquely of all of the countries through the history of humankind, has without doubt achieved more than any other comparable nation. I wonder whether here in Bridget's constituency, whether kids are being taught about what the Durham light infantry did in World War I. I wonder. I bet they're not. I bet they're not being taught that the DLI had the youngest general in the British Army, aged 26 years old, who went on to be killed in action. Because if you taught kids things like that, they'd feel not just proud of their country, they'd feel proud of their county, of their community, their village, or wherever they came from. So we know what we stand for, we know what we believe in, and we are not going to be budged or shifted in any way at all. Ever. Now, I'm here today because, well, I wanted to come and see you all, obviously, but I'm here today because, as I mentioned earlier, we've got elections happening on May the 1st in County Durham, elections happening on May the 1st in Northumberland, and this is the first big electoral test for our party. And it matters. It matters enormously. And I promise you, the more council seats we win, the more votes we get, the more we build our support, the more seats we'll win here in the North East at the next general election. The things are linked. They're related. So I've got some good news. You heard earlier from Rob, who is our one Durham County Councillor. Bust that. No, bust that. He was the only one Durham County Councillor. But that is about to change in the next 2 minutes. Bear with me. Okay, our numbers today on Durham County Council are going to grow. I have a man and a woman who were both elected 4 years ago as Conservatives, but they've now decided the right thing to do is to come across to us. I know, great, isn't it? Now, I'm going to put them through the baptism of fire. Kathy Hunt, would you come and join me here on stage, please?
handwritten a speech because I've come straight from work to this, and then got told, asked if I would come up here and speak to you. I'm going to take it back to grassroots. I'm a single parent, 4 children. I'm from Sunderland originally. I now live in Crook. I did stand in the election in 21 for the Conservatives for Woodhouse Close and Henall, a very left-behind neighbourhood. I'm proud to say I've personally, from my little neighbourhood budget and from getting all the parties involved, housing and everyone else, managed to get £250,000 projects done in that area and other things. When you're out there and you're knocking on the doorstep, what do you hear? I need a house. Can't get one. There isn't any. I'm band 4 on the way. What is band 4? People in band 2 don't get a house. Crime, antisocial behaviour, lawless streets. You go back to council, you say, right, what we're going to do about this? There's no money in the budget. Got no money for that. Can't put any more police on the streets. Haven't got the money for it. What we're going to do about all these houses that's empty, boarded up, owners that's nowhere to be seen. Most of them foreign. What we're going to do about that? We've got people begging for houses. We've got families sleeping on families' floors. There's nothing we can do. What we need the change. When you speak to people and you say, are you going to go out and vote? Come and vote. I'll vote for you, Cathy, but I'm not voting for Conservatives. I'll vote for you, but I'm not voting Labour. We need people, real people, to stand up for the real people. We need people to put themselves out there and say, I'm a Reform candidate. We're not putting up with Labour and we're not putting up with Conservatives anymore. One final thing, when I was asked when I said I wanted to stand for reform, I was asked if I wanted to defend the place I'm in. I don't need to. The people of Bishop Auckland have absolutely decided they're having no more of that. Instead, I'm going to stand in a 2-person Labour ward, being Labour forever, and I am going to take that seat.
Indeed. Thank you. Marvellous. Right, now we have a second. County Councillor coming across, Joe Quinn. Please come to the stage.
This was sprung on us at the last minute, but I have wrote some notes down. So my name is Joe Quinn, and I am the County Councillor for Ferry Hill, which is a nice little pit village. Come on, give it up for Ferry Hill. Today is the day I officially defect from the Conservative Party. Now I did struggle with whether to change parties or not. And that's not because I didn't believe in reform. It's simply because I always thought changing colours, changing your party, it's weak. It's a sign of weakness. However, on reflection, changing sides is a sign of strength. And I believe it is a sign of strength. To blindly follow a political party, because that's who your mother voted for, because that's who your father voted for, that in itself is weakness. I believe in reform, I believe in our leadership, and I believe in Nigel Farage. And I will say one more thing to the other parties and the political elite. Know this: Reform aren't here to take part. Reform are here to take over.
Joe, thank you very much indeed. And I'm going to invite one more person up to this stage to talk to you. He's a North East man, he's an industrialist. I think I'm right in saying he's the only UK manufacturer of washing machines, amongst many other things. But John Elliott played a leading role here in the North East when the plans for an EU regional assembly were put to the electorate a couple of decades ago. He wants to come on the stage, say a few words, and I think ask me a couple of difficult questions. So please, big hand for John Elliott.
I've got some bad news for you, Nigel.
Oh dear.
Matt Goodwin, Professor Goodwin, got it wrong.
Oh dear. Oh, things aren't good, are they? What did he do wrong?
He reckons the population by 2050 will be a lot of immigrants. It won't happen because of you. Okay, is any lawyers in the audience?
He's very shy. He's very shy. So he's not charging us, John. It's okay.
Don't you believe it? Don't you believe it? Yep. You look for these inquiries, yep? An inquiry takes 7 years and costs £10 million. How long would it take you, in this case now, 2 or 3 good detectives? We know who the victims are. We know who the perpetrators are. We know who the police were. How long would it take them to sort it out? Weeks? Months? £10 million? No way. Absolutely disgraceful. Justice, the legal system isn't based on justice. It's to benefit lawyers. How many people here voted Remain? And look, we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. There must be somebody, come on. There we are. Well done. Have you seen the light? That's even better still. Actually, I reckon anyone who voted Remain shouldn't be allowed to vote. Anybody who voted Labour in the last election? What's their judgment like? Have they got good judgment? On a score of 0 to 10, how well did the Tories do? 85. 1, 2, 3. And Labour done it worse. I mean, if you take over a business that's badly managed, it's fairly easy to improve it, isn't it? And they made it worse. They say things like, it's a big ship to turn round. They sent you the wrong direction, never mind turning it round. Okay.
John, thank you very much indeed. And our country needs people like John, people that take risks, people that set up factories, people that make profits or make losses, people that employ loads of people. And we've got to have the right atmosphere in this country, the right environment for people like John to go out and take those risks. Hence everything I was saying earlier about the essential issue of energy costs. Yesterday, Kemi Badenoch said that she thought reform was a protest vote. Well, I was minded to think there's quite a lot to protest about, but we're not a protest vote. And the common theme with all of these events And last night I was actually in her constituency, which was rather fun. But the common thing about all these results, about all of you, is whilst you're realistic and you understand just how grave are the dangers that face our country, you understand the societal decline that we're living through, the economic decline that we're living through, the loss of good values that we're living through, the throwing out of the window of our entire Judeo-Christian culture and our history. You understand that. In some ways, Reform voters feel that more acutely than anybody. But, and here's the thing, and maybe some in the press find it a paradox, but it's true. And yet you are the most optimistic, the most upbeat group of people I have ever met in my life, because you believe we can turn this around. You believe we can save our country. You believe it. You believe it. Yet with the right leadership and the right political movement, we can turn this country around, and I think we can look across to the other side of the pond, where a big political change has just happened. And whether you like Donald Trump or don't like Donald Trump, I do. Do you like Donald Trump? And I tell you what, the incredible change he's making in America already within 13 days, incredible, incredible. Big change is coming in America. I'm told already male pregnancies are significantly down. It's all right, we'll get away with that one, it's no problem. But he's right. And if you look at what he's campaigned on, and have a look at the contract that we drew up for the last general election, we have so much in common. And so much that capital cities in London or Washington don't understand about their own people that live outside of it. And yes, I pray, as was mentioned earlier by Andrea Jenkins, I pray that Elon, maybe not the easiest person, I don't know, but we will have our ups and downs in relationships and friendships. But I pray that Elon gets to work on that as well. We've got to become a country that understands once again that the only way to succeed, individually or as a nation, is to work hard. Is to work hard. There's no shortcut. And I bet there are many in this audience who work longer hours than their parents ever did, who travel more miles than their parents ever did, who pay more tax than their parents ever did. And what are they to say? Not only when they see huge numbers squandered on crackpot projects like HS2, as Richard said earlier, but even worse, to subsidise millions of young people who've decided because of depression they don't need to go to work. I'm sorry, but we can't go on with those that work subsidising those that won't work. Can't go on like that. And I've no doubt there are swathes of people who will disagree vehemently with things that I'm saying today and others have said today. But you know something? We are the silent majority. Be in no doubt about that. We're the majority in this country, but we're not being led by people that represent our views. And that, I think, explains the meteoric growth of reform. People are saying, at last, something I can believe in. At last, people who are providing solutions. Now, there's only so much I can do. There's only so much our leadership team can do. Because ultimately, whether we succeed or fail is down to you. You are all part you are all part of this people's army. And I want to implore you to help us in whatever way you can. And you can all help us. Whatever your age, whatever your physical abilities, you can all help us. Whether it's helping local candidates or campaigns and putting leaflets through doors in your street. Whether it's getting online and spreading the message on Facebook groups or wherever you talk. Whether it's going down the pub. There we are, some big supporters over there of that one. But equally, it could be the bingo, it could be the golf club, it could be wherever you go and talking to people. You know, I want you all to be fishers of men. I want you to go out and spread this message of hope, that we don't just have to accept that it's Tory or Labour. We don't just have to accept that everything we've had in Britain since 1918 stands as it is. I want people to believe that the North East is not of birthright a Labour fiefdom. And it's not, and it shouldn't be, and it mustn't be, and if we do our job, it won't be. So I would ask those of you living in County Durham or Northumberland that are here in this audience today, we still need more people. We're almost there, but we still need more people to put their hands up and say they'll stand in those elections on May the 1st. I'm utterly determined that we present candidates to the electorate in every seat in the country that is up. Everybody must have the chance to vote for reform. Everybody. So when you leave this evening, as you go through the hall, you'll see the signs for Durham, Northumberland, Newcastle, and all the different parts of the North East. And if you want to help us, join a committee, become an activist, become a candidate, please chat to people on the way out. Have I persuaded a few of you to stand as candidates? Are you going to stand as a candidate? Stand up. Stand up. Here we are, volunteers to be candidates. Anybody else prepared to stand up and say there'll be a gentleman over there? He's going to be a there's some ladies there. Wow, look at this. Look at this. We've got it. We've got it. Gosh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. That is truly amazing. Thank you for doing this. I will be up here several times between now and May the 1st to support you in your campaigns in any way I can. Our membership is booming. We went through 190,000 yesterday. And it'll be 200,000 before you know it. And let's try and make it 250,000 by the time May the 1st comes along. There's no reason why we can't do it. Thank you very much to all of you for standing up and volunteering. I want all of you, please, to leave here tonight feeling that you're part of something exciting. Feeling that you're part of something historic. Feeling that you're part of something that really can make a difference, because, boy, we need it. If we don't turn this around in the next few years, our country, as we've known it and loved it, will be gone. We are going to save it. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.